Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Tony Talks, Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life but are also doing good in the world. Today, um, is Saturday, right? And we normally have Brian Bradley with us. But Brian was indisposed, last minute thing. So instead of Brian, we have a much better looking person than Brian, and probably funnier, all the way around. So today we have Caleb, that Catermole, that is also an Egoscue clinic owner. He is actually a power lifter and someone who has been in Egoscue his whole life. So I'm going to bring him on in lieu of Brian being here. He couldn't join us today, so he might even still jump on for a couple of minutes to say hello from the golf course or wherever he's at. But with that said, let me bring on Caleb Catermole. Here he is. What's up, Caleb? Thanks for jumping on today and sharing a little bit about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, hey Tony, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit. So thank you for, like I said, for jumping on and because in all honesty, people were just probably getting tired of looking at Brian's mug anyway. So it's good that we got
a break. To do. It's easy to get tired of.
No, but Brian's a great dude. He's become a good friend over the years. And when he called, he said, "Listen, he had tomorrow's Father's Day." So happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Unbeknownst to him, his wife had set up a golf trip or golf day with her dad. So he only found out last minute. So with that said, the good news is, with all of that, is we got Caleb coming to share some wisdom with us and what Egoscue really means to him and how important a part of his life it's been. And maybe we'll share some exercises or whatever you want to share with us today. So Caleb, tell us a little bit about you and your story and how you came to Egoscue. Is kind of an interesting way about it.
Sure. So I always make the joke that I was actually born in static back in that Egoscue exercise position because I've been doing it that long. So I come from an Egoscue family. My mom is actually a cancer survivor, and when they took out she had thyroid cancer. When they took out her thyroid and her neck, they also took out some muscles, and there was a lot of scar tissue there, and it left her with some pretty debilitating neck pain. So she was a mother of 6, and couldn't really take care of us. My dad was at work as a PTA, and it was just a really rough situation. So actually, one of his clients that he had helped told him about Egoscue, and said, hey, this might be something to check out, because even though he was really experienced in the physical therapy field, he could only get my mom temporary neck pain relief. So they made the trip to San Diego. They got on a 16-step program. They both went through it. My mom got complete neck pain relief, none of the spasms, none of the trigeminal nerve pain, and she got totally out of pain. So my dad said, wow, this is pretty incredible stuff. And he took the exercises home to all of us, and then actually, once they kind of became raving fans, they opened up a clinic in Arizona. So been working at that clinic for about the past 3 years, but have really used and utilized Egoscue, since I was about 7 years old.
Wow.
So yeah. So and it's just been what's that?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just been really, really massive for me, because I come from an athletic background, and have had some success growing up. I played football, and I was an all-state wrestler, and because of Egoscue, I really was never sidelined by an injury. If I had something come up, I would always go to my dad for a menu and work that diligently, and really be able to keep on the mat or keep on the field. And I also was, pretty strong, strongest guy on the team because, my body was in a good balanced and stable position. I had a 345-pound bench press at 16 years old. So,
Wow. Well, speaking of which, that's one of the interesting things that Brian talked to me about when he first said, "Listen, I'm going to have Caleb come on the show." How much do you bench now?
425. That was my all-time PR.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, Brian mentioned how you're a beast and you're just like throwing weight around. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how Egoscue helps you to recover, right, from injuries, post-injury, or and how it actually helps you perform at a higher level. Because so many times people think that, well, it's just about strength, it's just about stretching, it's just about one thing or another, but it's not. Sometimes it's just about using all the muscles that we've got are at our disposal, because so many times we are underutilizing this perfect machine that we're gifted with, right? So tell us a little bit about how it helps to improve your overall conditioning and your overall ability to train and do what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping with the machine analogy, if you look at like a car, and it's a 6-cylinder engine and it's only firing on 4 cylinders, that's not going to be that's not going to be a very smooth ride or anything like that. So Egoscue we're like body mechanics. We get the other 2 cylinders in the car to fire so you can perform optimally, right, with a fully functioning musculoskeletal system. You got the same muscles from the left half and the right half of your body, and to achieve optimal performance, you need to have all of them doing the same thing from left to right and really just functioning together, right? So and that really applies to lots of different athletics and movements. A lot of people think of the body as kind of this compilation of pieces, but even in a bench press, you need to have fully functioning hips. Do a hip-driven bench press. Your feet need to be dug into the floor, and if your body is out of balance at your hips, that's going to pull your spine out of position. That's going to pull your shoulders out of position, and because your body is so smart, it's going to sense that and actually hinder your performance and strength outputs to protect you. So when your body is fully functioning and it knows it's safe, then it can really perform at higher outputs because it knows that it's not in danger of getting hurt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's so true. Listen, when I not that I ever did a lot of weight, but there was a time in my life that I was in better shape than I am now, and pushing weight and everything else. And when I was bench pressing, my left side never did. It was just hard. I just had, whether it was a lack of strength or just the muscles weren't firing the way that they should. But it was just difficult for me to have a quality workout with free weights. So I did machines most of the time because of that, because I was out of balance.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't realize that I was out of balance. I realized that later, and that's why that was happening, is because, and now you're telling me it's because your feet are planted if your hips aren't right. So it might not have been, what I thought it was. I was certainly out of balance, but it's not because of what I thought. So,
right.
So what do you? So what are some of the exercises that you do? Obviously, I know static back is one that everybody does.
Yeah.
But what are some of the exercises that you do to prepare to go lift when you go to do the serious, go do some serious lifting? Do you have a pre-lift routine and a post-lift, or just post-lift? What do you do?
Yeah. So I skin the cat a couple of different ways. But yeah, I definitely have a pre-lift routine that's really designed to, and me and Brian have talked about this at great length. Really designed to get me, out of my shoulders and strong mid back and into my hips. So it kind of works me out of the compensation that I get, where I get really tight from lifting, and helps me utilize my strong hip muscles to drive my squats, to drive my deadlifts, even to drive my, bench presses. So that's kind of the movement that I do, or the movements that I do to help prepare for that. And then, and I can go into the details of the exercises if you guys want, but that's kind of the premise. That's the outcome of the exercise before weightlifting. And then I actually do some things between sets, because when you have, a lot of load, your body really easily goes back into compensations. So basically between sets, I'm actually doing kind of an active recovery, we call it a neurological reset with my body, to make sure that I stay in a good position and I reduce my chances of injury, and I make sure that I can keep, performing at those high outputs. Then after I lift, we talked a little bit about the nervous system. When you lift, you're really in your sympathetic nervous system, kind of the fight or flight, the really, you're getting your adrenaline up, you're kind of getting hyped up, that kind of thing. And then after I lift, I want to come down and recover. So what I actually do is I don't do, more really tough exercises after I lift necessarily. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my body to calm down, to relax, to get what we call parasympathetic. That's like, the portion of your nervous system that is calming and relaxing. Like we're kind of in that state of our nervous system when we're just sitting here having this conversation. So things like static back, things like the tower, are great recovery tools to calm the body after it takes a beating in the gym, on the field, on the mat, whatever. And to also, keep you, restore the balance, and make sure you're not, in any compensated or precarious position after you're done with your workout. So those are kind of, if you want details on the exercises, I can go into that. But those are kind of the three outcomes that I really want from those, pre, intra, and post menus.
Yeah. What do you do in between the exercise? You said you do some exercises to pre just to recover, but in between the workouts.
Yeah, to reset. So something for me, I noticed that when I bench press, a tendency that I have is after my bench pressing, my left shoulder will actually kind of roll forward a little bit. So between bench presses, something I do is very simple that anyone can do. We can do this exercise on the call. Is actually just some arm circles. So I'll sit up from the bench, make sure that my feet are pointing straight ahead. Exactly, you already got it. Right there. Yeah, so
me with these quite a bit.
Exactly. Yeah. So 50 forward, then turn the palms up, kind of, in this position, and then 50 backwards. And then my shoulder, will drop into position, and I'll be ready for the next set. So that way I can handle, the stress of the workout. So things like that. Arm circles aren't necessarily an exhausting exercise, but they can really help to, realign you quickly and effectively. In between sets of deadlift, I love a kneeling groin stretch, which is basically where you kneel on one knee, the other leg is kind of up in front of you, and then your hips are just kind of falling forward, so you're kind of getting a good stretch in the back leg. And then between squats, I'll actually just take half a foam roller, sit down, put it between my knees, and then sit up really tall and squeeze it 20 times to make sure that both my hip muscles are working symmetrically in my squat.
Nice. Listen, those are some of the exercises that I'm familiar with, because he's had me do some of those just for some back issues and shoulder issues and hip issues I've had over the years when we've met. So tell us about a few patients that you've had that are probably some of the more significant challenges that you've dealt with and you've helped overcome.
Right. So I think an interesting thing is that, I don't pretend to be, what I'm not. I'm not a trained psychologist, but something that we found is that, the posture and the system of exercise we use is highly effective. And that's one aspect of the therapy. Another aspect, and these are, the clients who have, some pretty significant challenges, in healing is really getting them to shift their mindset from I'm hopeless, nobody can help me, and I'm broken, to, to I can do this. I'm not a victim of my circumstances, and there's something I can do about my pain. So you see people, and some people do have challenging postures when they're in, really just high amounts of pain. And that's one thing. But we deal a lot of times with chronic pain, and it's very rare that chronic pain doesn't get tied to doesn't get a little bit emotional for people in some way, shape, or form, because it's taken so much from them. It's taken, their energy, their time, their emotions.
It becomes part of who they are.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Becomes part of that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the clients that I have are that deal with that are definitely more challenging. I think one of my favorite stories is a client that came to me with SI joint pain, which is kind of like, really low back, kind of like tailbone area. And she came in the very first day I saw her, and we just were doing a consult together, and she looked pale, and her eyes were kind of, it was almost like her eyes were halfway open, kind of crazy looking. And this is not, not an old person, maybe in her 40s, but I mean, she just looks like she's got the life.
Yeah, not an old person in her 40s, dude. Not an old person. I'm just saying.
Exactly. That's what I said. Not an old person. 40s is not old, not at all.
I used to think it was when I probably. By the way, how old are you?
I'm 25. So.
I'm 25. Yeah, I was an old person at your age. You're right. Yeah, but I'm still not an old person. But go ahead.
You're just as old as you think you are, right? As old as you feel. Yeah. Exactly. So
state of mind to a large extent.
Yeah. So she just had, no energy, and just really, she was young, but, and a very kind person, but she just looked like she had the life kind of sucked out of her. And she was like, I've been in pain for, 2 years. And I've just laid down the whole 2 years I've been in pain. And it ain't working, and I got to do something. So, so I had her, she could barely, get up and down off the floor. She was very weak, from laying down and being immobile. So I had her lay down on the floor and actually do an exercise we give out fairly commonly called the upper spinal floor twist, where you're laying on your side, your knees are together, and you're twisting your upper body way over like that. And she was kind of a skinny person, almost looked like a yoga person, but it was amazing to watch how stiff she was, rotating, away from the painful side. And, she got up from that exercise, just with some tears in her eyes, and was like, this is the best I've just after one, simple exercise, that brought her hip down. That was all that it did. It just realigned her hips. And, she got up with tears in her eyes and was like, this is the best I felt, in 2 years. And so she got on the package, and I began working with her. And I think one of the coolest things that I got to see was the life, come back to her face. She started to look younger. Her eyes were open. She was, making jokes with me, having a good time, that sort of thing. So I think that was just a really fun one to see, because day one, you don't have to be a posture expert to see that this lady is in trouble and having a hard time, right? And then, day 30, she came in and she just looked like a completely different person, because of, the pain wasn't there. It wasn't draining on her emotions. It wasn't wearing away, the life within her. So that's always a fun one. It's really cool to see people get out of pain, but it's so incredible to see them get their life back and be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, if people take for granted. You forget sometimes when you're in pain for so long, you forget what it was like to not be in pain. Right.
Yeah.
And people take for granted the level of pain and what the impact is on their life. Right. Because when you're in pain, you're angrier, you're uncomfortable, so you're going to be more moody, um, you're going to be more sensitive to whatever it is. You're going to have a trigger, that trigger finger, so to speak, of a personality, and it affects so much more than just your life. The fact that this woman was on her back for 2 years affected her family for sure. She's not able to take care
Yeah.
of potentially her kids or whatever else. She's not able to go to work. So it impacts so many aspects of your life. That's why I said this to you just before we went live on the show, that I jokingly say that Brian is like a magician, because what you guys do to to people who don't understand and think there's no way, I've been in pain for so long, I'm never getting out of pain, this is just my life now. They don't realize that there's actually a way out of pain. Now, it doesn't mean you go and do one exercise, or you do the exercise for a couple of days, the pain goes away, and then you're in the clear. While that could happen, more often than not, it's a continual thing. But people don't understand that this is out there. That's why I keep coming on Saturday for the last 2 months, almost 3 months, with Brian, just to expose Egoscue to the world, because people don't understand that this is out there. The possibility of living pain free, or certainly easing your pain to a level that is very manageable from where this woman was, that she could barely move, and she was homebound and basically bedbound because of the level of pain that she was in. There is a way out of it. And that almost doesn't matter what kind of pain you're in. You can certainly reduce the level of pain, if not eliminate it altogether. So this is why, again, why I keep bringing Brian on, and why we keep talking about this. It's funny. We were joking earlier. He says, well, maybe it's good that you're bringing Caleb on, or just to bring on a different voice, because they hear me saying the same thing all the time. It can get old, it can get boring. But at least for me, it doesn't, because I know the power behind Egoscue. I know the power behind some of the exercises and what it's done for people that I know, and for myself as well. My wife is on a menu now of exercises for her hips that she's having a hard time with, and so I've got her doing some exercises that Brian sent over. So these are game changers. I know that in a couple of weeks he's going to come on with two women that are also Egoscue certified trainers, because again, the perspective of a woman's life, right? Because it doesn't matter how much you know, how much I know, we'll never know what it's really like to be a woman. I mean, I wish I was like Mel Gibson and fell in the tub with the hair dryer or whatever the hell happened. Now you know what women want and what women think and everything else. But that's the reality, is where that isn't the case. So we're going to bring on two women that are going to describe what it's like, how Egoscue's impacted their life, and how it's benefited them from having kids to running their own businesses, and what that means, and the toll it takes on their bodies, and the age thing and everything else, and the power of what this system does. So so powerful, man. And the fact that you found it as early as you did,
Oh yeah. I'm eternally grateful. I get told how lucky I am to have found it, but believe me, I don't take that for granted. I am so thankful every day, because literally every pain issue that I've ever experienced, or injury that I've had in my life, has been able to eliminate or reduce in some way, shape, or form. So it's just been a massive blessing.
That's awesome. So where's your clinic at in Arizona?
So we've got two clinics. One is in Phoenix, and then the other is in Scottsdale.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So we just opened that one last year, the Scottsdale one last year, or early this year.
Nice. So what was the temperature today? Like 132 in Phoenix?
Oh, I think 189 actually. Something.
Seriously, so crazy. I've only been out there once in the summer, and I'm like, yeah, no, the fall and spring are great times to get out there.
Yeah.
Summer is brutal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, weather is actually pretty good about 7, maybe 8 months of the year, really, really nice. And then as soon as summer hits, it's the only way I can describe it, if you haven't been here, is how, like, say you're making dinner, you got your, pot roast in the oven or whatever, and then you open the oven door to check on it, and you feel, that's exactly what it's like. You open your front door and it's like, wham! You're like, oh gosh. So, yeah, all the moisture just gets sucked from your body. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, I know a lot of people that live out there, and like, oh, you should move out. I'm like, I know that it's 6, 7, 8 months out of the year it's beautiful, but the rest of the time it's like. And again, I live in Jersey, so 2 months out of the year you open the door of your house, and like all the heat gets sucked out, and you just freeze your face off.
Exactly.
So it's the reverse, but it's not 4 months. It's really only 2 months that are really brutally cold. The other 2 months are manageable. But yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So what else do you do? Or do you compete? Are you still in competition with lifting, or what do you do? Because I mean, I see that quarantine hasn't really done anything to you, because you're like, your bicep looks like my thigh.
Yeah, I'll email you a link to the thigh bicep program to get you on, right? Yeah, well, for graduation present, when I graduated college in 2015, my parents got me a home gym. So I was able actually to, I moved that over to my place here, and I was actually able to, keep going, training through quarantine. So that was awesome. Didn't slow me. That was when I hit my PR. I PR'd 425 over the quarantine. So that was awesome. But as far as competing, I started competing in about 2015, and did a few competitions. I got to the point where I qualified for junior nationals in 2017, and I PR'd with so there are 3 lifts in powerlifting: bench, squat, and deadlift. So I PR. They weren't all my best lifts, but I put together a decent total, a 1,510 pound total over the span of those 3 lifts. So that was my highest total. And then I kind of I almost got a little bit bored with it. I competed 4 times that year, and I was like, man, I want to be able to do other things than just lift a lot of weight, right? I want to be able to go on hikes and play volleyball or pickleball and kind of have fun with it.
Yeah.
And the level of time and attention it took to get to that level of training, plus working a full-time job, was kind of to me, it was just time to move my life in a different direction. So I haven't competed a long time, but I pretty much, I get in there an hour, 3 days a week, and have fun with it, and string together some pretty good training sessions that way. But I enjoy, doing other things other than just lifting. So maybe competition might be in my future at some point, but right now, I like, being able to not be so big that I can, bend over and tie my shoes, because I got pretty big when I was about 260 then. Now I'm 20 pounds lighter than when I was competing, so it feels better to move around that way.
I know some guys that like do that deadlifts and like the big squats and everything else, and I mean their thighs are like my waist, and you look at them and like, holy damn, even just moving around and getting in and out of a car has got to be, when you get to that, we're talking about like thighs that are like, I don't even know. I mean, just massive. That's not even small. I got to back up to, the thighs are gigantic.
Zoom out. Yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell? I mean, I don't even know how these people, where the hell they buy pants. It's like, they have to wear dress sweats if they want to go out, because what the hell else can they get into?
Right. Yeah. If they bend over to pick something up before, they'll rip the pants.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I give those guys a lot of credit, because it takes a lot of dedication to do the thing. But I can imagine it's really, not only hard on your body, but you got to put so much time and effort into that. So a lot of credit to them. So I give you credit for what you do as well. But but what's more important is not the lifting, but it's the impact that you're making in people's lives by helping them get out of pain. I've got another friend of mine that is a quadriplegic that's been working with. She has the opportunity now to be working with Peter Egoscue. She was actually on the show once and he came on, so she's working with him, and he says it's amazing how she's able to, she can stand up and take a couple of steps, but she says she's got much more balance and she's excited. She's excited with what's happening. She's feeling better, getting stronger. She's feeling some quad muscles in one of her legs, which she hasn't had in 29 years. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, like I said, this stuff seems like magic. And anybody that's watching, whether they're watching live or the replay, check out Egoscue. Check out, you can go to egoscue.com /digital, and you'll get a host of exercises that you guys can check out. And that's something that obviously that Brian shares with a lot. That's why I pulled it out of memory. He'd be proud of me, by the way, for that. Usually but check it out, for anybody that's watching, check it out because it is a game changer. It's helped me. Even when I'm in pain now, I get into that static back just before going to bed. Sometimes I do it in the morning. The other one is just rolling up the towels and putting them beneath my under my neck and my lower back, and just laying there as well, just to work out some of that, and certainly the curls and the elbow presses and all that stuff. So amazing. So we get a question from Cindy. How do you treat shin splints?
Well, I would say that, you can have hard to say, just make a blanket statement without looking at you, because people can have symptoms and have the same symptoms for different reasons, right? Because everyone's body is a little bit different. So, hard to say without asking you some follow-up questions, but something that is very important for lower leg health is the function of your ankle. So a lot of times, if people have and hip as well. So a lot of times, if people have shin splints, something that we would do with them is to get their hip muscle on the same side, make sure that is working well, and then make sure that the ankle function is restored. So something that we love for that is an exercise that might actually be included in the Egoscue Digital, called the tower, because that really helps to it's basically where you're laying down, you have one leg, you're laying down on your back, you have one leg up at 90 degrees, and you have your other leg totally extended with your foot completely straight at 90 degrees. And so that helps to, keep that closed packed ankle at 90 degrees, restore the function, and make sure that you can, go through all the proper phases of gait where your heel strikes, and you push off all 5 toes, right? And then that helps to restore the function of the hip, so that your lower leg doesn't have to compensate, and your strong hip can do the work. So there's quite a few different things, but I would start just with the digital therapy that Tony mentioned, and there's because that's going to cover so many things.
So hopefully that answers your question. It kind of does. She just gave a little bit more information. I had surgery yesterday. Okay. This was the opposite leg. Could I have favored the leg to cause it?
Oh, so you're getting shin splints on your opposite leg
that you had surgery for yesterday. So she may have favored it and really pulled something.
Yeah, absolutely. That could happen. Pain is caused, a lot of times because of compensation, right? If one side's not working so well, we favor the other side. So yeah, but definitely when you have a surgery like that, you want to make sure that you're doing some form of exercise to keep your body balanced, so it doesn't get used to favoring one side versus the other. That's going to be very important for you in your recovery process.
one of the things that I'll say, Cindy, as well, again, just from having been learning from Brian for the last couple of years, really, but more intently the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I should say, is sometimes what you think is the problem isn't the problem. I've seen, Brian work in person where somebody comes up and says, my neck is really, really bothering me. It's like, okay, well, stand there, fist, your feet, fist width apart, turn your ankles, your feet in 5 degrees, a little pigeon toed, and do this exercise. And this and that. The person's like, but it's my neck, not my feet or my knees, and he goes through this exercise and maybe he does the elbow presses, or he does, the arm circles or whatever. And the person's like, what are you doing? This has nothing to do with my neck. And then after he's like, and how do you feel? It's like, holy cow, I feel great. So sometimes it's just an effect. It's a side effect of the problem. The problem is showing up as the pain that you're feeling, but it has nothing to do with that part of your body. Amazingly, and again, I'm that's why I enjoy having Brian on all the time, is because I'm learning so much, right? I'm learning so much of what he does. Sometimes I introduce him, he's like, damn, that's pretty good. He's like, you want a job? I'm like, I got plenty of jobs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you're certifying for your therapist, your PAS1, right?
No, none of it. It's just, I'm learning along the way. But it's just, so I say that, Cindy, that this is like magic, because you go in and you think, oh, there's no way, or I'm so much pain, and you do this one simple little exercise, and as you're doing this exercise, you're like, how the hell is this going to help me? This is some bullshit, right? And then from that exercise, as you do another, it's like, okay, now how do you feel? And you're like, what? So I'm going to share this with you, Cindy, and everyone who's watching, and Caleb as well. The first time that I was introduced to Pete Egoscue, it was on video. It wasn't in person. I'm not even sure where we were. We were doing a Tony Robbins Life Mastery event, and it was Pete Egoscue on video. And basically, we were in this room, and Pete says, okay, everybody stand up. And as you're standing there, I want you to pick up your right foot and put it on your left ankle and try to keep your balance. And everybody's like wobbly all over the place, and who's like falling over. And he says, okay, great, now sit down. And he had us sit down, and he just had us do these things where we're squeezing our butt cheeks together, and we're pressing down on the floor, like applying pressure. And he does these 2 or 3 simple exercises with sitting down, not even doing anything else, just sitting down, like applying pressure here, rotating there. And 5 minutes, 7 minutes later, he has everybody stand up and do it again. Everybody just stands up and picks up their foot and puts it. It was almost like a military stance. Everybody just gets up at once and sticks their foot to their ankle, and nobody even flinches. And everybody got to their balance point. And I'm like, this is some amazing stuff. Literally, old people, young people, fat people, skinny people, short people, tall people. Everybody was standing there like the balance was perfect. And everybody's standing there for like a minute, and you're like, how's this possible? Before, half the people, it's like everybody was drunk. Everybody's like falling all over the place. And within 5 to 7 minutes of doing a couple of simple exercises, everybody was standing there like militant. It was so impressive. I was blown away, and that was my first experience with it. Never mind the stuff that I've seen Brian do with people in person, and it's just mind blowing. My own experience of being able to get out of pain, but to see him doing some of these things, everything from planking. He has you do a plank, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to show you how to do a proper plank, because oh yeah, I can hold it for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And as you do a proper plank, I couldn't hold that thing for like 37 seconds. Yeah. Right. Because it's a whole different position. You put your back in the right position, so you're actually not hurting yourself. He says that I'm sure you know this, but the retired Marine that has the world record for holding a plank for like 8 hours or 10 hours or something crazy like that. You look at him, and the way he's like got his shoulders up, he's like all tight. So he actually had him come down to the studio in San Diego and showed him how to do a proper plank. and he couldn't hold it for more than 10 minutes, right? Because so many times we think we're doing something and we're doing it right, but we're really not because we just don't know, and sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. I say it all the time. The one thing I do know for sure, 100%, the one thing I'm 1,000% confident is that I don't know what I don't know. That's all that I really know.
That's that's smart, very wise.
Yeah. Well, usually people say I'm a wise. Never mind. But yeah, wisdom too.
Yeah. That's same thing with like I think push-ups is another great example. That people an exercise that people screw up all the time. It's like, they think it's just a chest and a tricep exercise, but push-ups can be such an awesome actually back exercise. If you do them that the way Brian teaches the planks, with the shoulders down and pinch the whole time. Never letting them separate. Yeah. And then you can actually, people are like, oh man, I do too many push-ups. My shoulders are so tight and, my pecs are so tight, and they get kind of rolled forward. But it's like, man, if you just make, a really simple and subtle change to those push-ups and do them with your shoulder blades together, pinch your shoulder blades in your plank too. That one simple tip, will make your workout more effective and give you, more balance and usable strength, and really, really help, get that snowball moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So there's so many little things. There's so many little things that can prevent you from getting hurt. There's so many things that you can do to recover from injury when you're getting hurt. There's things that you can do beforehand. Cindy, one of the things that inevitably, if you had spoken to Brian or somebody, even a physical therapist, before having surgery, they'd probably have you do exercises for a week before having surgeries to prepare your body to be able to have that surgery and be able to recover quickly after that. I mean, is that a true statement? I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm starting to pick some of this stuff up.
You do. You got it. You could have ran this very well. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, I'm a fan. I'm a believer in it. That's why I keep having Egoscue Saturdays to be able to share this information, because there's so many people that still don't know what the heck Egoscue is. And I think that the more people that we can help, one of the missions that I have is to help ease suffering in the world, right? And sometimes it's just ease suffering with pain. Sometimes it's emotional pain. And to your point, you're absolutely right. A lot of that pain is emotional, that woman was feeling, and we can all relieve pain. Sometimes it's just about releasing some old thoughts and whatever, in order to be able to release that pain completely. So Cindy says they actually did have her do some exercises with her hip surgery. It sounds like it was another surgery. So Cindy, how many, are the surgeries cheaper by the dozen? Geez, what's the heck's going on? Wow.
Did you a surgery value pack at Costco?
The value pack. Yeah. Say buy two for the price of one. Unfortunately, that's not usually the way it goes, Cindy. We understand it's never an easy thing. Well, we joke. Obviously, nobody wants to have surgery, and certainly nobody wants to cover those costs, which is all that more important to keep ourselves in top physical shape. And again, one of those ways is by doing a little Egoscue on a regular basis. And one of the simple things, and I'm going to say this, Cindy, in case you weren't there before, Caleb was talking about the static back. It's one of the easiest exercises that you can do. Is you can just lay down flat on your back with your arms out and your legs up on your sofa or on your bed, so you have more or less a 90-degree angle. You put your legs up against the back of your legs, up against the sofa or up against the bed or whatever it is, and just stay there for as long as you can, 15 minutes, 30, watch a movie, go to sleep there all night, whatever it is, because it allows your back. Tell us what it does to your back, Caleb. I'm like stealing your job here. Damn it. Sorry.
Hey, I don't mind. You're making my job really easy. So, well, static back it does all sorts of cool things for your body. But I think one of the coolest things to pay attention to while you're there is just your low back. A lot of people, when they start out in the static back position, their low back will actually be kind of raised and arched from the ground. and then it'll feel, their low back will feel kind of tight in that position. And as they focus on their breathing through their stomach, not their chest, their low back will just slowly and gently start to come down to the floor. So by laying down on your back, you're kind of realigning your pelvic position and putting to rest those tight, overworked back muscles. And then when people stand up just from laying on their back for 5 or 10 minutes, they can really experience some significant change. Like Tony was saying, like with balance, maybe you feel like you're really offset to one side and you feel like most of your weight's on one leg, or your back aches or your shoulder aches or whatever. And then you get up from that static back exercise and it's like, whoa, okay, this feels different. I feel more balanced. My back aches less, my shoulder aches less. So it really, it does a laundry list of things to your body.
Nice. Well, and again, that's just one of the ones that's a go-to for me when I'm not feeling right, or my back's not feeling right. It's a go-to. I just go there. Cindy says that they just took out the ankle hardware on Thursday from the previous break. Ankle hardware. You're like, the bionic woman. Wow. So listen, Cindy, she said that she'll catch the replay. I will say this: we didn't do any exercises on this. We've just been kind of talking about what Egoscue is. But if you go back to previous, some of the previous episodes, whether you're on my Facebook, my GetUpNGrow Facebook page, you can go back and there's exercises on that on YouTube as well. You can go back and find some of those. Certainly, you can even find just type in Egoscue and Brian Bradley. The Brian Bradley, as he corrected me, the Brian Bradley on YouTube. You'll be able to find a lot of great exercises to be able to do that. But again, you don't even have to go there. Just go to egoscue.digital. .com/digital. I just put it up on the screen again. Just go there and you're going to have a host of exercises that you're going to be able to do. And I guarantee you the static back is one of them that's on there, as well as the elbow crunches and the arm circles and all the really great stuff. So get on there and check that out. And again, we're going to be here. I was going to say every Saturday, but actually this week I'm actually moving forward. If anybody's watching, or for those of you who are watching the replay, it's going to be a light week of Tony Talks shows this coming week because I'm actually going to be away at a training event for a couple of days. So yeah. By all means, just go back and watch that, Cindy. Yeah, the one with Christopher Ross was awesome. Christopher was in significant pain, and I know that it helped him as well. So there's comments coming up on the left-hand side, by the way, or the right-hand side. And I forgot to tell you, if you tap on the top of the screen, there should be a button that says live comments. You'd be able to see them too. Should have told you that beforehand. Next time. So listen, with that said, Caleb, I just want to say thank you for coming on here. Thank you for showing up and what you're doing in the world to help ease suffering, one back at a time, one hip, one ankle, one, whatever it is, because it's changing lives. Without a doubt, that woman that came to the Egoscue Center and left, changed life. You say you may have saved her life, because sometimes when people are in a lot of pain, they do a lot of crazy shit to themselves, to other people. So when you're in pain, you're just not a happy person. You can't be happy if you're in pain. And if you're not happy, sometimes people do a lot of crazy stuff. So thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for spreading the word. And we really appreciate what you're doing, Tony.
Yeah, no, listen, it's my pleasure. I've had the pleasure of having Peter Egoscue on here twice. I've had Greg from New York on here. I've had Calvin from North Carolina, South Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
One of those, yeah.
One of the Carolinas, I don't know, down south, where it's a lot hotter and muggier than it is where I am or where you are.
So it's a dry heat.
It's still a lot of heat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, with that said, everyone, thank you so much for watching live, for asking your questions. Cindy, thank you for being on here. For those watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And if the video resonated with you, by all means, share it, tag a friend. We are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube as well. You can go to youtube.com/C/GetUpNGrow. the letter N, grow, Get Up and Grow, and you'll find a host of videos, both with Brian Bradley and many of my other guests. And remember, my friends, that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about picking yourself up and getting up after every fall, and knowing and that when you fall, you learn, and when you get up, you grow. And every single time you fall, you have the opportunity to get up and grow we must. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. For all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. That is tomorrow. Brian, happy Father's Day to you if you watch this replay from the golf course. I appreciate you. And Caleb, happy Father's Day to your dad. I don't think you're a dad yet, but I don't know, maybe.
Not yet. I got married 2 weeks ago, so we're
oh, nice.
Kid level yet.
Nice. Congratulations. Well, listen, happy Father's Day to your dad, and to all the dads out there. Thank you for what you do and how you show up in the world. Again, Caleb, thanks for coming on and filling in for Brian. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it. Take care, Tony.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.